When folks tend to go missing without a trace, having videos of some of their final moments is both helpful but haunting. It's not unusual that people disappear, but the vanishing of Kenny Veach is truly bizarre. There are several strange aspects about his case, and it's impossible to say what really happened. What did Kenny see and feel when he entered this mysterious cave in the Nevada desert? Well, according to himself, he said shortly before he vanished, there were some supernatural forces in this cave. Now, Kenny was a man who loved hiking and disappeared on Monday, November 10th of 2014. So about 10 years ago. He told his family he was going on a short overnight trip into the Sheep Mountains in Nevada. Now, sadly, that wasn't the case, or else it wouldn't be newsworthy and we wouldn't be talking about it today. 1 month earlier, he had discovered a very strange cave in the Mojave Desert. He said the cave evoked a strange, possibly supernatural occurrence within him, and he needed to explore it. Kenny wanted to show the world the unusual cave he had discovered, but he did not return home from his trip and was never seen again. Before his disappearance, Kenny commented on a YouTube video claiming to have found a cave around Nellis Air Force Base. So this is in southern Nevada. Now, Kenny was a brave explorer. He entered every cave he came across, but this one in particular actually frightened him. To quote directly, he commented, "I am a long-distance hiker, and one time during one of my hikes out by Nellis Air Force Base, I found a hidden cave. The entrance to the cave was shaped like a perfect capital M. I always enter every cave I find, but as I began to enter this particular cave, my whole body began to vibrate. The closer I got to the cave entrance, the worse the vibrating became. Suddenly, I became very scared and hightailed it out of there. That was one of the strangest things that ever happened to me." So Kenny vowed to return to the cave, bringing a camera and a weapon with him, and did wind up making a video showing himself looking for the cave, and he posted it to YouTube. But the desert is large and it's impossible to locate the cave based on this video. What happened next? But a mystery. All we know is Kenny returned to the site a month later to find the cave and was never seen or heard from again. The only thing we do know is that a search party was formed by Nevada rescue volunteers, and they found his cell phone near an abandoned mine shaft a week after his disappearance, but there were no traces of Kenny. We're talking no body, no clothes, no other belongings have ever been found. Now, this dangerous cave has not been located, and Kenny seems to have vanished into thin air. This next clip is from an unknown explorer in the Paris catacombs. For those who do not know, even though Paris is in the news right now, these are a series of underground tunnels that are located underneath the city that were created during the late 18th century to help alleviate the city's cemetery shortage crisis. Yeah, fun fact folks, there's approximately 6 million bodies buried down here just as is. Now, in recent times, it is a popular place for urban explorers. They call themselves cataphiles. And one example of this crazy urbanness is a man who took footage of the catacombs sometime in the early 1990s. Now, we have a snippet for you to watch. And this footage, which was taken on a black and white video recorder, starts rather unremarkably. This guy's just exploring, having a good time. He even picks up a couple of bones along the way. But as the video goes on, he begins to walk at a faster pace. Then he breaks into a run, and then drops the camera before running off into the darkness. The camera lands in a puddle on its side, and that's where it stayed, and it filmed the man's feet running away. The point of view footage became disorienting as this guy's running. He's swinging from tunnel to tunnel, and it kind of reflects his confusion about, like, where do I go? How do I get out of here? What do I do? So after this, the footage was found by a different group of folks in one of the deepest areas of the catacombs, before being acquired by a documentarian by the name of Francis Friedland. He later presented the footage on the second episode of the ABC Family show, Scariest Places on Earth, in the year 2000. Nobody has stepped up to claim the footage after the initial airing of the episode, and that includes Friedland. Nobody knows what happened to the man in the video, or who he was to this day. Riley Strain, a University of Missouri student whose body was recovered from a river after going missing in Tennessee's capital for nearly 2 weeks, sadly passed away from accidental submerging of water and intoxication. Video released by the police showed the missing Riley briefly speaking with a police officer on the night he vanished in Nashville, Tennessee. So Officer Reginald Young came across Strain. He was, 22, while responding to a car burglary on Gay Street, south of the Woodland Street Bridge on the night of March 8th, according to the Nashville police. So around 9:50 p.m., Strain walked by alone. The officer was like, "How's it going?" Strain responded, "I'm good, how are you?" But there's no other video showing that Riley went anywhere away from Gay Street after this time frame. Well, that's what the police said when they released the footage. So Strain disappeared on the night of March 8th after a night of imbibing in Nashville's Broadway area. According to the police, the university senior was visiting Nashville with his Delta Chi fraternity brothers for their formal, according to his family. Now, there's other video from the police from 9:47 showing Strain crossing the street with the group, checking his phone. He then stopped and changed directions for a moment before proceeding down the street with the group. And we've got surveillance footage showing him walking alone, stumbling down the street, and then an additional angle shows him running and falling down. Now, his buddies claim to have last seen him when he was kicked out of Luke Bryan's bar, Luke's 32 Bridge. Well, that's what they told the cops. And then his bank card was found on the embankment between Gay Street and the Cumberland River near Riverfront Park. And there's no evidence of foul play, but we still don't know exactly what happened. Human remains discovered in a wastewater collection point last month were identified as missing Texas college student Caleb Harris. Now, the 21-year-old was last seen in the early hours of March 4th, earlier this year, after he's walked his dog at about 3 a.m. His father said that he returned home with the dog, then left again, and that's where the story ends. A doorbell camera at a nearby apartment did capture him, his buddy, and one of his roommates in a parking lot playing with the puppy, which belonged to the girlfriend of one of his roommates. And then he went home. He and his buddies played online video games for over an hour with another friend, and then, after that, he went out. The second of Harris's roommates said, oh, he's going to bed. He was gonna stay up late, order some snacks from Uber Eats because he didn't have anything for lunch, and he did send a Snapchat to his younger sister that showed him walking the puppy, and then he sent a Snapchat photo to a high school buddy, and the photo showed a small bridge over a drainage ditch on the 1900 block of Ennis Jocelyn, which was within a few hundred feet of the entrance to the apartment complex where he lived. But that's when the cell phone shared its last location, and it wasn't turned on since. Now, the Uber Eats driver delivered the order to the apartment, left it outside, and went his merry way. Well, around 11 a.m., one of Harris's roommates discovered that Uber Eats order outside the front door, and Harris's pickup was still there. And his wallet and his keys were in his apartment, but nobody could find him or his cell phone. Now, his roommates described him as a homebody, creature of habit. So they called the police. They're like, we don't know what's going on. We tried looking for a buddy. We can't find him. So a preliminary search of the apartment complex and the immediate area surrounding it, there was no signs of a struggle, no signs of violence, no indication of a hit and run, nothing. Apparently, weapons, fishing gear, all the stuff that belonged to Harris that could be maybe something, were all found. They found his laptop, they turned it over to the police, that didn't do anything. It wasn't until June that city water employees doing maintenance in the area discovered human remains in a wastewater collection well, and they were too decomposed to identify, but then a month later, after a lot of testing, turns out it was Harris. But we still don't know what happened. And finally today, relatives of the California woman who vanished during a yoga retreat in Guatemala released a haunting last video of her paddling from the shore in a kayak, while challenging local authorities to believe she then passed in the water. Nancy Ng of Monterey Park was seen smiling and waving from a kayak on October 19th, shortly before she disappeared while staying near Lake Atitlan, as seen in the footage shared with Good Morning America. Now, the prosecutor's office said that a woman with Nancy told authorities that they were about 2 kilometers deeper into the lake, and Nancy was like, I want to go for a swim. And that's all we know. Now, the prosecutors were like, that's when she goes under, because apparently rescuers found her empty kayak. But Nancy's family refuses to believe that simple explanation. They claim it took more than 24 hours for her disappearance to be reported, and there's still folks that they think have not come forward. Fire and rescue officials told news outlets that there were reports that Nancy was last seen but a half-mile from shore, but once again, her kayak was found empty. So the FBI did offer resources to help in the search, and then you also had the US State Department monitoring the investigation, well in touch with Guatemalan officials. According to Nancy's sister, her dad keeps his phone next to him at night because he's hoping for a ransom call, something that will prove that Nancy might still be alive and she's out there. Now, the family has also hired a private search team, and I wish them luck. Well, that's the end of today, folks. I've been Alexa, your resident ookie spooky girly. See ya!